This one thing is the silent killer of agency growth, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. You know how it is. One month you're thriving, the next you're scrambling to stay afloat. But what if you could break free from this uncertainty? If you've ever had a great month followed by a terrible one, or if your agency's revenue feels like a roller coaster, you're not alone. Revenue fluctuations are not random. They're the result of specific fixable problems. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly why agencies struggle with revenue stability and what you can do to fix it. Hi, I'm Vito. I delivered more than 600 web projects as an agency owner, and I worked with thousands of agencies through Atarim. I know firsthand how unpredictable revenue can feel. One month you're landing huge projects, next month it's complete silence. That's why I built Atarim, to help agencies streamline their processes, retain clients, and create predictable revenue. But today I'm going to share what I've learned so you can break the feast and famine cycle once and for all. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why most agencies struggle with revenue fluctuations, and more importantly, how to stabilize your cash flow to create a more predictable business. We'll cover the key mistakes most agencies make that lead to revenue instability. I'll show you a repeatable system you can use to smooth out your income, and how to protect your business from market fluctuations or slow months. Let's get into it. The truth is, most agencies don't have a revenue problem. They have a business model problem. And we're going to look at three major reasons why agencies struggle with revenue fluctuations. Number one, relying too much on one-time projects instead of building recurring revenue. Number two, poor cash flow management leading to feast or famine cycles. Number three, inefficient project management causing delays, scope creep, and lost profits. And by the end, you'll have a clear roadmap to making your agency's revenue more predictable. So let's start with relying too much on one-time projects. I remember when I first started my agency, I was obsessed with building beautiful websites. That was my craft, that was my passion. I didn't want to deal with the tedious parts of maintenance, minor text updates, or ongoing support. I just wanted to create something beautiful and move on to the next project. But that mindset led to a brutal realization. Once a project was done, so was the revenue. There was no financial security, just an endless cycle of chasing new clients. At first, I didn't mind when past clients reach out for small fixes here and there. I'd help them for free. But soon, those small favors piled up, and my inbox was full of, hey, can you just update this or do that? Something's not working. Can you take a quick look? Before I knew it, I was spending hours every week doing unpaid work, feeling frustrated and undervalued. Then I discovered care plans, a structured way to provide ongoing value while ensuring recurring income. Instead of offering free help, I started packaging my services into three clear, structured support plans. Clients could no longer get ad hoc support. If they wanted my help, they had to be on a plan. And I have to give a shout out to Christina Romero and Troy Dean, who have incredible content on this topic here on YouTube. Their insights on care plans and the agency growth strategies played a big role in shaping how I structured mine back in the day. So here's how I structured it. The basic plan was around $100 a month. It was 75 pounds, 1 hour of support per month. We did the plugins and the theme updates on WordPress, and we sent a monthly performance report. The second plan, the pro plan, was around $350 a month. That gave them 5 hours of agency time every single month. And I made this a requirement for anything that was e-commerce, custom builds, multi-lang, anything that is beyond the basic project. And then we had the premium plan. That started at around $800 a month, but this could also be businesses that were paying $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, or even more. They got at the base 10 hours of dedicated support, and this was ideal for high traffic businesses that needs ongoing optimization and more landing pages, more work, maybe more projects, some development time as we're building out new features, new areas, different stages of builds, and so on. So the goal was to get them to that plan. Sometimes people would start on the base one, and then I would push them up over time, sometimes over years, to the higher plans. The thing is that once they come in, it's so easy to keep retaining them. And actually, care plans is one of the more stable revenue streams in recurring revenue as a whole, whether it's software or any other types of recurring services. People don't want to deal with it. Once they get started and you're doing a good job, then they'll stick around as long as there's a business. The magic happened when I changed how I viewed unused hours. If a client didn't use their allotted time, I didn't just let it go to waste. I reached out and proactively suggested improvements, things that we could do. I'd check their site performance, security, or UX, and offered all kinds of little tweaks that kept them engaged and saw me as a valuable partner, not just a service provider. And as my agency grew, So did my care plans. And as I mentioned, clients that started on the lowest tier naturally upgraded over time as they saw the value of having us in their corner. Eventually, some clients went beyond the premium plan. That shift from chasing one-time projects to nurturing long-term client relationships changed everything. It gave me financial stability, allowed me to hire a team, and turn my agency into a real business instead of just a freelance hustle. So if you want predictable revenue, you need a retainer model. And here's how to start. Package your services, offer ongoing support, maintenance, or marketing services like SEO, newsletters, or content creation. Upsell existing clients. Many will gladly pay more if you position the value correctly. And productize your offers. Standardize your plans so you're not reinventing the wheel every time. It will make it so much easier to sell because you're going to say things with confidence, but it also creates stability as you grow and as you onboard new team members, so you don't need to train them on tiny bits and pieces that every client does. And believe me, I fell into this trap as well. So by shifting your mindset from one and done to long-term relationships, you can create stability, scalability, and a business that doesn't just survive but thrives. Number two, poor cash flow management. I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my agency journey, I was so focused on delivering great work and didn't pay enough attention to the financial side of the business. I thought that as long as the projects were coming in, and they were, everything would be fine. But I quickly realized that revenue on paper doesn't mean cash in the bank. I remember finishing a big project, celebrating the win, only to wake up a month after with an empty pipeline and no money coming in. The stress was unbearable, and I had invoices outstanding, clients delaying payments, and no immediate work lined up. That's when I understood most businesses don't fail because they aren't profitable, they fail because they run out of cash. The problem is that agencies, especially small ones, operate in a cycle of feast and famine. When you're busy with client work, you're too focused to market and sell. Then, when the project is over, you're scrambling to find new clients. And this roller coaster cycle is what creates cash flow chaos. Here's how I fixed it. Require deposits upfront. Never start work without getting paid first. This is a non-negotiable. If a client isn't willing to make a deposit, then it's a big red flag. When I started enforcing this rule, I not only secured steady cash flow, but I also noticed the clients who paid upfront were more committed to the project. They valued my time more. Then you want to break projects into milestone payments instead of getting paid in a lump sum at the end of the project. I broke payments into structured milestones. For example, a website project might be 30% deposit before starting, then 30% after the design phase, 30% after development, and 10% upon final delivery. This ensured that money was consistently coming in throughout the project instead of waiting until completion to get paid. Use stage project plans instead of one-off contract. So for a larger, more complex project, I stopped selling one-off engagements and started framing work as ongoing stages. For example, instead of pitching a single website build, I positioned as stage 1, website build, stage 2, dedicated marketing funnels, stage 3, optimization backed by marketing plan. Let me give you a real example of how this worked in my agency. A client came to us wanting a new website for their business. In the past, I would have just built the website, handed it over, and moved on. But instead, we structured the project into 3 stages. Stage 1, the website build. We focused on creating high-converting, functional websites with a solid design foundation. That was the core product, ensuring the client had professional online presence. Then stage 2, dedicated marketing funnels. Instead of leaving the client with just a website, we built strategic marketing funnels tailored to their audience. This included lead capture pages, automated email sequence, and of course, targeted landing pages designed to drive conversion. And then stage 3 was the optimization backed by a marketing plan. Finally, we implemented an ongoing marketing strategy to ensure the website and funnels kept improving over time. This phase included SEO enhancement, performance tracking, and content strategies to maximize traffic and engagement. So by breaking the project into these 3 stages, we created long-term value for client while ensuring sustainable revenue for our agency. Instead of a one-time transaction, this structure encouraged ongoing collaboration and continuous growth for both parties. This approach helped create a smoother financial flow, provided clear deliverables at each stage, and trained clients to see me as a long-term partner rather than a one-time vendor. This method worked particularly well in large projects rather than smaller business websites, as those often require a more straightforward, quicker approach, and then getting them into the care plan, into those monthly small packages. Next, you want to set aside financial buffer. No matter how well well things were going, I made sure to set aside at least 3 months worth of expenses. This financial cushion became my safety net. When a slow month hit, I wasn't panicked. I had time to focus on business development without scrambling for cash. But this wasn't just about my own financial security. As my agency grew and I started hiring a team, I realized that my financial responsibility extended beyond myself. It wasn't just about ensuring I could pay my own bills, it was about making sure my team members could rely on their paycheck every month. When you have employees who depend on you for their livelihood, financial mismanagement isn't an option. Their rent, their families, their well being, it all becomes part of the equation. That's why having a strong financial buffer is non negotiable. It ensures stability, protects against unexpected downturns, and allows you to grow with confidence, knowing you can support both yourself and those who help build your business. Next, make business development a habit. I scheduled at least one day a week dedicated to sales and marketing. No exceptions. It was like a leg day at the gym. Hard, sometimes painful, but crucial. Whether it was reaching out to past clients, networking, or improving on our inbound marketing, I ensured that business development never took a backseat. And by implementing these strategies, I broke the cycle of feast and famine. Instead of constantly stressing about where the next client was coming from, I built a system that kept cash flowing consistently. And trust me, when you're not constantly worried about money, running an agency becomes a whole lot more fun. Let's go to point number 3, inefficient project management. Inefficient project management is the silent killer of agency profitability. You might be doing amazing work, but if your processes are chaotic, deadlines slip, clients get frustrated, and scope creep drains your profits. The worst part, most agencies don't even realize how much money they're losing to inefficiencies. So, here's the reality. Delivering a website or design project takes at least 500% longer when client feedback loops are unstructured. That's literally 5 times the time that it takes you to create something. And I'm sure that you can all relate to this. If you create something on your own, it takes a couple of days. Working with clients, boom, weeks. Why? Because every small feedback request turns into a back and forth email chain, unclear revisions pile up, and clients struggle to communicate what they really want. I used to run my projects the traditional way. Emails, spreadsheets, Slack messages, and dozen tools cobbled together. I thought it was working until I realized I was spending more time managing feedback than actually doing the work. That's when I knew something had to change. And I boiled it down to what I call the 3 to 5 words rule. And this is why your current approach to feedback is probably broken. The biggest issue with project communication isn't just about how clients communicate. It's about how humans naturally communicate. Traditional project management methods try to force people into an unnatural process that requires unnecessary effort. Think about the typical way agencies ask for feedback. Please take a screenshot and provide a URL, specify your device and browser, explain what you did before, and then describe exactly where the issue is. So it sounds pretty exhausting, right? Especially where there's a bunch of points. That's because it is. The more effort required to provide feedback, the longer it takes, and the greater the chance of delays, people procrastinate, forget, or simply abandon the process altogether. Now, contrast that with how people naturally give feedback in real life. If someone asks for an opinion on a design, you're not going to write a detailed report. You'll say something like, make this bigger, change this color, move this up, not working, fix this, those kind of 3 to 5 words strings. This is human nature. We communicate feedback in 3 to 5 words. That's why so many traditional feedback systems fail. They fight against human instinct instead of embracing it. So why not lean into human behavior instead of fighting it? The key to effective project management isn't forcing people to change how they communicate. It's adapting your process to fit how people naturally interact. Rather than making feedback feel like a homework assignment, your workflow should be designed so that when someone says move it up, it's instantly clear what they're talking about, where it is, and what needs to change. That means eliminating friction and capturing context automatically so that simple request doesn't turn into an endless back and forth of clarifications. And this is actually what the Atarim platform does. Instead of asking for a screenshot, we generate that automatically. Instead of requesting for the URL, we capture that instantly. Instead of making them specify their device, we detect it in the background. Instead of forcing them to over-explain, let them use their natural 3 to 5 words and have the system do the heavy lifting for you. you. By shifting from structured manual feedback collection to intuitive, natural communication, visual communication, you eliminate delays, confusion, and frustration, making projects flow much faster and more efficiently. Next up, setting clear timelines and milestones. Another major project killer: undefined timelines and unclear expectations. Many agencies internally plan their milestones and the deadlines, but the problem is they keep them internal. Clients don't know the deadlines, don't track their responsibilities, and then are surprised when you're suddenly late. This is a fundamental mistake. When clients aren't aligned with your milestones, they unintentionally slow everything down. They assume they have more time than they actually do. They get distracted by other priorities, and when they finally return to the project, they're out of sync, causing massive delays. Think about it. If you tell a client, "We need your feedback by Friday," that deadline only exists in an email somewhere. They are constantly reminded of their responsibility. This shifts the accountability from you chasing them to them owning the role in the process. So a better approach: make timelines visible. Instead of setting deadlines in a spreadsheet or an internal tool only your team sees, structure your workflows. In Atarim, milestones aren't just set internally. They are integrated directly into the client's experience. Every time they log in to review progress or leave feedback, they see things like how much time they have left to submit revisions, so you have no more last-minute rushes or unexpected delays. They can see what stage the project is currently in, so you eliminate uncertainty about where things stand, and then they can also see what happens next and what's expected of them, so they never feel lost in the process. And by embedding deadlines into the client's workflow, you ensure that the responsibility for keeping the project moving isn't just on you, mostly on you, but it's also shared now with the client. This small shift creates faster approvals, fewer delays, and smoother collaboration. If you want to deep dive into this topic, check out my video, The 3 Biggest Mistakes Agencies Make When Managing Client Projects. In that video, I break down more strategies to keep projects running smoothly and avoid costly bottlenecks. And finally, scope creep, the most famous profit killer, and I'll show you how you can flip it to your advantage. So most agencies see scope creep as the enemy. I see it as a signal. If a client is asking for more work mid-project, that means something important is happening. It means they trust you, they see the value in what you're doing, and they're starting to dream bigger. Let me share a real example from my agency. A client came to us with a simple website redesign, which included, of course, a standard contact us form. No big deal, right? A name, email, phone number, message box, done in minutes. But as we got deeper into the project, something interesting happened. The client started picturing the real potential of their website and how that can connect as the digital platform of their business. So they asked, what if we added some custom options here so we can qualify leads better? Can we have conditional logic if they select service A, show them these extra fields and so on? What if this wasn't just a form? What if this turned into a step-by-step survey? So obviously they didn't use this exact terminology, kind of translated it into designer talk. But at that moment, I could have said, that's out of scope. We agreed on a simple form. But instead, that point I realized something. Clients get inspired during the process. When they see the early versions of their site or their project, they start imagining how it can work better, do more, and drive more results. This isn't a bad thing. It's an opportunity. So instead of shutting them down or doing extra work for free, I turned their inspiration into a structured upsell process. And here's how. First, I acknowledge the idea, but don't say yes straight away. When they asked for that more advanced form, I didn't immediately agree. Instead, I said, that's a great idea. Let's make sure we get phase 1 launched, and then we can explore adding this in the next stage. This does 2 things. It validates their request so they don't feel ignored or that they should not do that again. And it keeps the project going instead of derailing it with late-stage changes. Number 2, you want to create a backlog for all of these future requests. So I added this request to our backlog, a list of future improvements that we can work with each one of our clients. Every time a client came up with another idea, I'd say, I love where you're going with this. Let me add this to our backlog, and we can revisit it once we complete the current scope. This trains the clients to understand that additional work isn't just squeezed in, it's planned and quoted separately. And number 3 is the positioning of it as a strategic next step. So once the website was finished, I reached back out. Remember how we talked about turning your contact form into a full sales funnel? Now that's the perfect time to do it. Let's map it out and see how we can improve the conversions. By this point, the client was excited. They already saw the value in their website upgrade, and now they wanted to continue building on that momentum. The additional request became a new sale rather than a freebie. And the lesson, inspiration is revenue in disguise. Instead of seeing scope creep as a headache, start seeing it as a roadmap for your next paid project. When clients get inspired, it means they see possibilities they didn't consider before. Your job isn't to shut them down, it's to guide that excitement into structured, billable work. So to recap, here's how you can flip scope creep into a revenue generator. Keep a backlog, capture every extra request and revisit it later. Validate their ideas, but keep the project moving. Avoid delays, scheduling new features for the next phase, and follow up after the main project is done. Clients will be even more excited to expand their site once they see it live. So by handling inspiration strategically, you don't just prevent scope creep, you create a pipeline of future work and a client relationship that keeps growing. So if you want to make your agency more profitable, tighten up your project management. And here's what to do. Use a centralized visual collaboration system like Atarim to eliminate inefficient communications and endless email chains. Leverage the 3 to 5 words rule. Clients give quick feedback and Atarim captures all the context. Set clear, visible milestones so clients know exactly where the project stands. And then turn scope creep into an upsell opportunity instead of unpaid headaches. And with the right systems in place, you'll finish projects way faster, increase profitability, and create a better experience for both your team and your clients. Now, I know every agency is different, and your biggest challenge might not be the ones I just covered. So what's the biggest revenue your agency is facing right now? Drop a comment below and I'll personally reply with advice tailored to your situation. So let's do a quick recap. We covered why one-time projects create revenue instability and how to build recurring revenue. We tackled cash flow management, showing you how to create financial stability, and we solved inefficient project management so you don't lose money due to scope creep and delays. And if you find this helpful, check out my video on team management strategies. A well-managed team is one of the biggest factors in growing a profitable, stable agency. Click here to watch it now. Somewhere. Where? Here? Here. At the end of the day, predictable revenue isn't just about making more money. It's about peace of mind. When you know your agency has steady income, structured project, and a clear cash flow plan, you can focus on what you do best, delivering great work and growing your business. Start by implementing just one of these strategies today and watch how quickly your revenue becomes more stable. And I'll see you on the next one.